Welcome to another Commander Tune-Up with the Nitpicking Nerds.
This time, it's Emelia's Lonis Clue Tribal deck.
I am the best host, Joe Cherries.
I am the third best host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds along with the actual best host, Amber.
Second best.
We're bringing you daily Magic content, so happy birthday to Emelia, whose tune-up this is, and everybody else whose birthday it is today.
Happy birthday, Emelia. So cool. If you want to be like Emelia and support us on Patreon, you can do that to support us directly. If you want to support us indirectly, two ways. TCGPLAYER link in the description below. Go there, buy the Magic cards you were going to buy anyway, but guess what? There's a kickback for the nerds if you start with our link. Same with Dragon Shield. Best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
They're literally the best sleeves you can get. Go there, buy that. And one more shout out, Maraschiello.com, the best site for building EDH decks and other decks too. But you can go to our link here, which I have like on the screen here. If you go to that link, follow us. We're trying to become the most followed account on all of Maraschiello. Help us out with that.
We haven't even done anything, and we're almost there. So just a few more days, I think, of this, where we'll get up to the top.
We want to, like, it has become a goal of ours to get to the top. So let's get into this video. BC, what is a Commander Tune-Up? Can you tell them?
It's where we take patron, Kickstarter backer, submitted decks, and we upgrade them under your budgets and restrictions. Emelia's restrictions were $500 budget. That's basically no budget as far as I'm concerned. And they wanted to stick with a clue theme, because I know Lonis is just like a really good Magic card, and there's a bunch of different ways to go with it, and you could just build a stupid Lonis deck without any other clue generation. But we wanted to focus. This is actually a clue deck at its heart.
Yes. So exactly like you said, we're just going to be $500 budget clue theme deck. I mean, that's the theme. The theme is this is a clue deck. We're going to make clues all over the place, and then we're going to weaponize them in some way to kill our opponents.
But we can't do any of that without reading Lonis. I mean, we could, but this video would be worse if we didn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what a Lonis did.
Blue and a green for a legendary Snake Elf Scout. It's a 1/2. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. Tap, sacrifice X clues. Target opponent reveals the top X cards of their library. You may put a non-land permanent with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield under your control. Then the rest go on the bottom in a random order. This card is like really strong. Not only does it just say, whenever a creature enters, you delay to draw a card, it also gives you a permanent. It also gives you an artifact. And then it's like, hey, I know cracking a clue is a lot of work, but I'll just tap and sack them and give you something anyway.
Yes. So the first thing we got to do in a Commander Tune-Up is tell you the best cards that are already in the deck, so you can get some idea of what this deck was doing. Well, pretty simple here. Parallel Lives, doubling season. Instead of making one clue, we're making two clues. We're literally doubling our output. And now that sounds good. Doubling is great. But what if we could triple our permanent output? Well, that would be Academy Manufactor, which is not manufacturer like I always think it is.
You know what this is? It's the second coming of Dampening Sphere. It's Damping Sphere and it's Manufactor.
Yeah, Manufactor. Academy Manufactor literally says whenever we make a clue, guess what? We're making a food. We're also making a treasure. This is going to be, again, if doubling was good to make two clues, then tripling the permanent output has to be good.
Yeah, there's also Double Major was in this deck, and I thought that was sweet because Lonis is so cheap. So you just cast Lonis and then copy it. So you now have two Lonises. They're actually triggering off each other now when they enter to give you some clues. Now every creature gets double clues, and there's also Adrix and Neve who are in this deck. So you could have two Lonises and an Adrix and Neve and a Doubling Season and a Parallel Lives. And I don't even know how many clues that is. Let me know how many clues that is in the comments.
It's not even hard.
That is like, if I was the opponent, I'd quit.
It's not hard math to do, but I'm not doing it right now. There's also Tireless Tracker, one of the best ways to just make a consistent flow of clues. It's landfall, make a clue.
One of the best Magic cards, you meant.
No, one of the best ways to make clues.
Magic cards.
BZ.
Ever printed.
BZ literally loves Tireless Tracker.
I wrote it until I could not ride it anymore in Modern.
Yeah, it's so fun. I was just going to say that. I was going to say you literally love Tireless Tracker so much. You were so sad when you learned it just isn't good enough.
It costs 3 mana. You can't play it in Modern.
Yeah, it's got 3 mana cards. Got to be Liliana the Veil. It's like the only. It's like one of
the Seasoned Pyromancer.
Seasoned Pyromancer. Those are the good ones. I mean, they're few and far between, but there are good ones.
Well, this isn't a Modern video, so let's get to the next one, which is Shimmer Dragon. We just talked about this card, and now there's a plethora of clues that we don't even ever have to crack now because we're making so many that we just, all right, I have 8 clues. Every turn, I guess I'll just draw 4 cards for free.
Yeah, you're just tapping on the draw rather than sacrificing them, which is much, much more powerful.
And you board wipe this or it never goes away.
All right, now that we have a good understanding of what this deck is and what it was already doing, it's time to make some cuts and it's time to add some cards in their place. What is the very first category, BZ?
We're making and we're using clues. That's the big thing. I think Emelia basically had every way to make clues that almost existed in Magic, and even in the Clue Tribal deck, I don't know about that. So we had to cut Drown Yard Explorers. It's literally a 4-mana 2/4 ETB Investigate. All our creatures are already ETB and Investigate, and this is just an extra one, but it's a vanilla creature that doesn't do anything. So you have to cut it. I'm sorry, like this deck will function better and make more clues and even be more clue-centric just without this card.
Yeah, this card, it's super vanilla. We also cut Daring Sleuth.
Yeah, Magnifying Glass, Trail of Evidence, and Uvenwald Mysteries. They all make clues, but we can't even trigger them that much. So they're going to make less clues than just like our regular dudes. I also cut Horizon Chimera, which basically pays off clues. Whenever you crack a clue, you draw a card and then you gain a life. I just don't like this card at all for anything.
Yeah, they're just, all these cards are just on the outside of like what we want to be doing. They're close and they fit thematically. They're just not good Magic cards.
Yeah, Displace flickers 2 creatures, so it kind of just says 2 and a blue, make 2 clues, and maybe you get an ETV. That is not prioritized in this deck, so instead of working around this card, I just cut it. Oh man, comparing those other clue cards to the new clue suite we have is like, these are some of the best cards in the entire format. First, Ethereal Investigator, which is not one of the best cards in the format, but it does make 3 clues upon entry, and then whenever you draw your second card, you get a bonus token just for free. So this thing is just 4 mana, 3 clues on a flyer. This card is sweet. I think this card is really good.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of permanence on the battlefield for a low cost. The flyer is basically nothing, but it's
extra.
It's just an extra thing you get. All we want is those clues, those sweet clues.
This thing is 4 mana and it's basically 5 permanents.
Now,
That's a lot.
Now, if I was busy, the first card I would have mentioned was Urza, Lord High Artificer, because it actually is one of the best cards in the entire format. This is a way to pay off clues. Urza doesn't care what the artifact is. Doesn't care if it's a mana rock. Doesn't care if it's a clue, food, treasure. It does not care at all. He says tap those artifacts, make blue mana, and guess what? We're paying 5 and we're minds desiring.
Also, every batch of 3 clues is 0 mana draw card, which seems good to me. And it even pays off clues by just making a giant creature that's power and toughness equal to the number of clues you control. It doesn't say clue anywhere on it, but this is like the clue genius, the clue superpower person.
Clue genius. Also, Kodama the East Tree, another card that could fit into the category of one of the best cards in the format. Very good. Whenever a permanent enters the battlefield, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield by this ability, well then guess what? You get to put something with equal mana cost or lower onto the battlefield. Meaning, if a clue enters, you can put a land from your hand onto the battlefield.
I'll say it now because it's not going to get any better. I highly recommend, if you're going to play this deck, you need to goldfish the heck out of this deck. And you need to figure out how these things all work so that you can play them in a timely manner because, oh my god, there's so many triggers. Kodama, when you play it, you have 1 trigger right away because you make a clue. Then you can put a land in. Now, every creature you play is 2 more Kodama triggers, and every clue sacks to draw a card for 2 mana. So every time you play a clue, you can put another land from your hand. But you're drawing cards, which means you're drawing lands to play off the clues you make. You're going to go ham. But with Kodama and Urza, that's like a 5-minute turn waiting to happen.
I mean, this is a wheel spinning deck. I'm glad BZ took the reins on this one because he's a wheel spinning master.
I live to spin wheels.
I mean, yeah, his turns take forever. Next, Quark Clan Ironworks. Guess what? Turns our clues into 2 generic mana whenever we need it. This is literally perfect for this deck. Clues can't always. It makes every 2 clues now be a card drawn. It converts. What we're doing with all these cards is we're taking our clues that are, they're decent by themselves. They're 2 mana to draw a card when you need it to be. But we're turning it into mana with Urza and Quark Clan Ironworks. We're turning it into triggers with Kodama of the East Tree. It's just, we're changing the clues to not just be draw a card, to do other stuff.
And then we're just going to make more, and then we're eventually going to just have so many that we're going to kill people. And Lonis already, oh, you have 6 clues? Okay, they're all tapped because you made mana with them? All right, well, I'll look at the top 6 of your deck and take the best card.
Yeah, and you can absolutely hit a huge haymaker off of anyone's deck.
I also like Junk Winder, which is the affinity for tokens. And whenever a token enters, which is going to be clue, you just you ice another non-land permanent. This just controls the board. No need to wipe the board. We just, there's like 3 or 4 threats out. Tap it, pass. And then just never not control the entire board state to the point that it needs to be wiped.
Yes, it just totally fits on theme with this deck. It's just, clues are tokens.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be so easy for us to ice things down. And last but not least, Thought Monitor. It doesn't really pay off clues that much, but the coolest thing is we can easily get this down to 1 blue, and then you cast it for a blue, get a new clue, draw 2 cards. That's pretty strong.
It's like 3 mana, draw 3, but also you get a creature, and it does a bunch of stuff. I like this card a lot, and I think that could just use a little bit of non-clue card draw, just in case. Got to move on to ramp and removal, Cherries.
Well, the cuts are pretty simple. Growth Spiral, we're not an extra landfall type deck. Crewfix, God of the Horizons, very cool, very fun card. Doesn't really fit our theme. We're not going to be building up all this mana to play Eldrazi. That's not what this deck's doing. Treasure Map. Why? I mean, I like Treasure Map, and you do make treasures with it.
That's not a clue.
It's not a clue.
Get him out of here.
And it's an extremely slow card. Gilded Goose, I don't think is a very good mana dork at all. I would just avoid that. Landwire Visionary, unless you need an elf specifically or something along those lines, probably a card you can avoid. There's just better mana dorks in this format. And then we cut Nature's Lore and Sky Shroud Claim. Both cards we highly recommend in most decks, but this is a creature-centric deck, meaning a lot of our ramp, or a vast majority of our ramp, is going to come from the creature slot in the form of things like the cards we added. Sakura Tribe Elder, Birds of Paradise, Springboom Druid, and Wood Elves. Now we've taken the ramp from spell-based to creature-based, meaning that Lonis is... Don't laugh at me.
You're struggling.
Meaning that Lonis is going to be triggering extra times, which just makes the deck that much better.
I like Springbloom Druid, as you called it. Even pulls double duty because it's putting 2 lands in play. So like Tireless Tracker, Tireless Provisionary, double triggers. They're both in the deck. Kodama, 4 triggers off Kodama from that 1 card if you have Lonis in play. The Druid, the Clue, and 2 lands. Okay.
It's pretty dang strong. We also added Druid of Purification, a creature removal. I think that this card is just absolutely amazing in the Commander format overall. God, if you're not playing CDH, this card is chef's kiss a staple.
Wouldn't it be okay in CDH? I don't know. This seems like
it's 4 mana. That's the main. It's main weak
4 for 1 or 3 for 1.
Yeah, it's just the main weakness is it's 4 mana, and CDH 4 mana. You got to be doing a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, if you're playing Commander, you need this card. This is a Commander staple. It's better than Reclamation Sage. Get this card. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's rare that we're going to tell you to play the more expensive removal, but this is the case where we're going to tell you to do it.
It's nuts. In addition to the Druid, I also added Resculpt, which is a almost new for the Nitpicking Nerds, hot on the scene of a card you can play alongside Reality Shift. So pick your favorite. I picked Resculpt. Curse of the Swine. We have some ways to make X pretty big, and there's another X spell in this deck. So I thought, hey, this is basically a board wipe, which we have none of in this deck. So let's get Curse of the Swine in here.
Yeah, we talk about all the time with going back to Resculpt very quickly, all the time about how the body doesn't matter that you're giving away. That's why we play Beast Within. It's already in this deck, and we're willing to give away that 3/3 because it's just not going to hurt us too bad. Resculpt is essentially saying, what if the creature, compared to Reality Shift, what if the creature had 2 more power?
What if it was twice as big, but you get to hit twice as many types?
Now, is that worth it? And I think it's 100% is. It's just not a card I had thought of critically like that. When I use my critical thinking hat and I go, let's compare the 2 cards. Oh, yeah, Resculpt is probably way better.
You want to know why? It's because of Ravenform. Ravenform came out first. I'm like, oh, they're doing this again, and this was now the 3rd iteration, and my eyes just glazed over because Ravenform wasn't better.
You're right. Ravenform isn't better because the weakness of Ravenform is that it's a sorcery.
And it's 3 mana.
Sorcery and 3 mana is just a hugely bad compared to 2 mana instant.
It's miscellaneous cuts, everyone's favorite category. These cards just kind of didn't fit in with what we're doing, so we have to make room for the super spicy clue payoffs and cut things like Tatiova, Benthic Druid. That is definitely the type of card that is really good in this deck, but has absolutely nothing to do with clues, to the point that I'm like, well, I want to win off my clues, not off of like Kodama and Tatiova. So
yeah, I'm gonna say one thing. That's like the cut that I love talking about because I like staying thematic. It's one of the things that keeps us from pushing past to a super high power level. Because if you just start shoving staples in your deck, your deck starts becoming more powerful, but it's less thematic. If keeping on a theme really helps keep power level down and usually at a fun place that a lot of people are aiming for.
Well, it also just keeps your synergy up. So you're always going to be able to win with clues. Sometimes every single human being has had this experience where somebody has a janky deck, but they just win with cards that are completely normal. It's they played Dockside Extortionist and they flickered it with Deadeye. What was this? Your treasure deck? You just killed us. What do you do? We're trying to avoid that. So Tatiova can get out of here. Rite of Replication, we don't have any creatures that we want to make tokens of, and we don't get any bonus for clues to making tokens. So I just figured get out of here. Commander's Plate, Lonis is real cheap. I don't think we have to protect it that badly. by giving it protection from like 60% of removal.
Yeah, I mean, it gives it probably protection from more than that because it does hit the
70?
Yeah,
75?
it's like the 3 biggest colors in removal, but still, I'm just not interested. Commander plate, we want to put this in a commander that wants to attack. Lonis is not looking to get in the red zone at all.
I mean, if you're going to do something, do Lightning Greaves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we cut Heroic Intervention. I don't like Heroic Intervention in blue or white decks, especially because you just have better options. For white decks, obviously you have your Defense Protection, but for this, a blue deck, we have counter spells. We literally have Mana Drain and Fierce Guardianship that are going to do a better job most of the time. I understand that there is a higher upside potential for the Heroic Intervention, but Mana Drain and Fierce Guardianship are going to protect you from the board wipes that we're going to get around your Heroic Intervention anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it for me with the Heroic Intervention, why I think it's like so overplayed, especially when you get to like blue-green. I just wish the hexproof wasn't there because this spell is like 95% you care about the indestructible, and then 5% of the time it protects against spot removal. But it's like it looks like it's half the card. It's just not relevant really.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm happy to have it, but this card is just not as exciting as it looks.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Moving on, you sent us a deck. Guess what? That means Nitpicking Nerds touch the lands as we always do for the cuts. BZ hates Homeward Path with a passion.
I mean, did I miss something? We're trying to take their stuff, not give it back to them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It definitely does not fit in this deck at all. I'm trying it in a deck right now. It has yet to be relevant, but I had a flex slot, and I wanted to put it in. We're not very high in this card, and the fact that we want to take stuff makes it a non-bo. Any deck that has any card that says, take my opponent's stuff, I would not play Homeward Path in.
Yeah, we're the deck that makes them want to play Homeward Path. And then when they eventually do, we beat them anyway because they lost percentage points by putting Homeward Path in their deck. We also cut Temple of Mystery. It's just a tap land. This deck had Tropical Island in it, so we do not need to go to Temple of Mystery. 3 forests and 3 islands. We added the best land in the entire format, Field of the Dead. We're already making tokens. We had some cards that care about it, so let's just get more bang for a buck. It's basically free.
Yeah. We didn't have a pain land in this deck, surprisingly. Yavimaya Coast, the only one we could play. Get it right in the deck. Seagate Restoration and Turn Timber Symbiosis were 2 colors. We're playing in both the MDFCs 100% of the time. We cut Forest and Island for this. That is a straight upgrade. This deck pretty much got strictly better.
How good is Seagate Restoration when you just slam it, and now you have 15 cards in your hand, you have a bunch of clues, and you'll never have to discard again?
Yeah, it feels amazing. I mean, Turn Timber Symbiosis isn't even like gonna win, isn't gonna be an amazing win on slam, but it's so much better than a Forest.
Oh man, I have Cart Clan Ironworks and I just need a little bit more gas. Well, let's try to find Kogama. Let's try to find Urza. Let's go. Let's play a spell.
Speaking of the cutting of 2 forests and 2 islands, we cut 2 forests and 2 islands and we made
3 and 3.
But 2 of them were cut for these next 4. 2 and 2 were cut for these next 4. They're big. Snow-covered forest and snow-covered island, which actually matters a lot because we're playing Field of the Dead and it has a different name.
I'm convinced this was all just a test. They're like, Emelia's like, let's see if he puts those MDFC mythics in. Let's see if he adds snow-covered lands when he inevitably adds Field of the Dead. Not getting by me.
Yeah, this is just another rant that I could go on for hours. I hate snow-covered lands. I hate the design so much, but I digress. We got one last category of ads here, and they're cards that help us win with clues. What are the first 2, BZ?
Yeah, so it's Quirion Ranger and Scrib Ranger. They don't actually win the game, but they're helping us basically do twice as much on any given turn with Lonis. When we sacrifice 6 clues, we don't really want to sacrifice 50 clues. Like, I would rather sacrifice maybe 10 clues 5 times than 50 in this example, because you only get 1 card. I don't really need to see your whole deck. I just need a really good card. So what we want to do is untap it with Quirion Ranger and Scrib Ranger, return a forest, who cares about that forest, and then cast more spells, maybe cut our clues in half, use half of each one, and just cast twice as many things off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to go above pretty much what you think their highest casting cost in the deck is.
I wouldn't go too much higher than 8.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably what you're going to guess. Like, maybe if you know you're playing against an Eldrazi lover who's got 10, it's like, okay, I'll go 10, 11, because I know that they got some big Eldrazi. Other than that, yeah, stay around 8.
Like, never do 15.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to go. They don't have a 15 drop, I promise.
And it's not that. I'd rather get 2 bites at the apple than I'm going to see a, on average, better card.
Yeah.
There's also Grinding Station. Now, this one is going to probably win us the game when we go off with all those other enablers I talked about. Tap it, sacrifice an artifact, target player mills 3. Whenever an artifact enters, it untaps, and clues are artifacts. So you sack the clue. First of all, sacrificing the clue to Grinding Station triggers Tireless Tracker, triggers Graph Mole to gain 3 life, triggers whatever says for sacrificing clues, and then whenever you make a new one with Lonis, Oh, it untaps. Let's do it again.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just, oh my god, do so much damage with a silly little grinding station.
There's also, I think, fleeting memories it's called, where ETBs investigates, and then whenever you sacrifice a clue, target player mills 3. Now we're just doubling up because we're sacrificing them with grinding station.
Get out of here. Grinding station is just a weird card.
All the stations are they're really good.
Yeah, they are in the right decks. Yeah, absolutely. We also have Squall Line. What the hell is Squall Line?
Yeah, well, you know what Squall Line is? It's X green for an instant. It deals X damage to each flyer and each player. It's just Hurricane. It costs an extra green pip because it's an instant.
You know what's funny? For people watching at home, you could tell I was looking for a cut there, and I think it's hilarious that you kept it going.
There was no cut.
I literally looked at you and I went, "What the hell is Squall Line?"
And now you've sworn twice, and our rating has gone up. Squall Line sort of wombo combos with another card in here, Graph Mole, that I just mentioned. Sacrificing clues gains us life. There's probably a couple other ways to gain life in here, but all we got to do is have the highest life total, and then we Krark Clan Ironworks and Urza all of our clues away, and just make X some giant number and finish everybody off without even going to combat.
Literally old school way to win. It's the fireball. It's a fireball. You make a ton of mana, fireball, you're gonna kill you, but this time it's Squall Line.
And you're only gonna be able to make extra mana with clues. There's nothing else in here that'll power out a Squall Line for 20.
Yes, and the last card we added, Mechanized Production, a card that we gave a D, but guess what? We're not monsters. We like fun.
Here it is. This is where it goes.
The whole idea of this deck is we make a bajillion, gajillion, 2 trillion clues. That's a real number. Look it up. You make that many clues, and I would just put Mechanized Production anywhere. I would maybe we put it on like an artifact land. It's indestructible. Who is so evil? And then it can't even be destroyed unless they short a Mechanized Production. But that's neither here nor there. And then we win it because it says on your upkeep, if you have 8 of the same named artifacts, you just win.
All you gotta do is play it on a clue and then pass the turn. And if you untap, you win. It's kind of like Velidar Sovereign and like Test of Endurance, those kind of things. It's just, hey, removal test, you got it, and sometimes you have mana drain backup, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Mechanized Production is just going to be completely silly. I mean, it's not very strong. Again, it just eats removal as fast as you can possibly imagine eating removal, but we want to turn our clues into a win. The whole idea is this is a clue deck, and we're staying thematic. Mechanized Production is going to win us some games.
I mean, it's also in this deck, which is the niche deck of why it has a D, because it doesn't go everywhere. We're not enchanting an artifact we care about. It's on a clue. Mm-hmm. It's a 1-for-1 if they kill the clue. No big deal. Let's bring it home.
All right, time to bring it home. Budget, $500. We spent $169.25. Damn.
We're good.
We're good. We're just that good. Average CMC was 3.21. The new average CMC is 3.25. We are, the last 2 tune-ups in a row, we have risen.
We're miserable failures. We thought we were good. We actually suck. The average mana value of your deck has gone up, Emelia, 0.04. You're going to probably notice that every game, and your spells are just going to be rotting in your hand now. But
I'm ashamed.
The deck is cooler, and also better, I think.
It is better. It is cooler, and it's definitely more focused around the clues. Total changes for the deck, 26. We didn't have to go too crazy. This was a pretty focused clue deck overall, but we just brought it home. We brought it to an awesome place.
I mean, I would hate for you to pay for a tune-up and for me to just say, play all the Clue Matters cards. Like, yeah, how much? It's a clue deck. Duh. That's not where the nuance and deck building comes in. So we didn't have to change much of the clue thing, but we rounded out and made all the synergies work with Lonis, and we added some more crazy payoffs for clues. Looks sweet.
Yeah, I'm glad that this deck turned out really cool, and I honestly can't wait for you to win with Mechanized Production. It's one of those cards I've never lost to. I never want to lose to, but I know I'll eventually lose to it.
One of these days. So happy birthday, Emelia. I hope you liked it.
Yes, and happy birthday to everyone whose birthday it is, because that's what the Nitpicking Nerds do. We wish everyone birthdays. Also, special shout-outs to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Thank you all for the support. Seriously, I can't stress enough how much your financial support helps this channel.
I mean, this is our job, so you're our boss. And we hope to please you every day in a non-weird way. You can go to TCGPLAYER and buy cards that you were going to buy anyway to help us even more than you already are by watching and liking and subscribing. So go do that, and you get the cards, and we get the money. Also, Dragon Shield, the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Go to that site, buy some custom sleeves, buy some regular sleeves, buy a playmat or something, and then we get a kickback on that order as well.
Yes, if you want to help us become the most followed account on all of Moxfield, use our link right here. Go to Moxfield, which is the best deck building site on the whole internet. Not even close.
We're not even sponsored. We just like Moxfield.
We love Moxfield, and one day we will be sponsored by Moxfield.
Mark our words.
When they're big as can be, they're going to sponsor us because they're going to be so big. I literally I've used the Arcadex. I've used the
Tapped
tapped
outs.
outs. Those are the main two.
There's some other ones.
There is definitely
not
other
coming
ones.
to mind.
But those two are like some of the main ones. I've used them. Nothing beats Mox Field. All right, it's time for the final segment of the show, the tidbit about our lives. We finished the show Midnight Mass, and it was absolutely stellar. I was very like, BZ was asked me after, he's like, what'd you think? You weren't saying much. I'm like, I was trying to make sure I enjoyed it, because I didn't want to be like, because BZ got hyped like halfway through, and it's like, I don't know. But I posted on Twitter literally, well, now it's going to be 2 days ago on Friday, and I said this was a 9 out of 10 show.
Oh, you did? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I said it was a 9 out of 10 show, one of the best shows I've watched in the last couple of years. Very good.
I mean, that director just nails it. I mean, Hill House, nailed it. Bly Manor, nailed it. Midnight Mass, nailed it again.
I think Midnight Mass does an absolutely great job of being a show that both appeals to people who are religious and who aren't religious. I think the characters, if you're religious, you'll really be able to relate to the characters of the mom and dad, of Riley's mom and dad. I can't think
the main character's mom and dad.
One of the main characters' mom and dad. They're super relatable if you're religious, because they're two religious people, and they really come across as very nice and genuine people. And I think that's that's what made the show so good. It wasn't just like religion's bad or religion's good. It was religion is a neutral thing, and it depends on how you look at it.
Oh,
and
man.
Such a good show.
There's like 15 different things I could rave about for 5 minutes, which is awesome. And the one bad thing, though, about the show, the reason it's a 9 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 is there's some long-winded, like, speeches or, like, soliloquies that just, like, do not need to be there at all.
Monologues, whatever you want to call them.
Every episode is an hour and 10 minutes, and they could easily trim 5 minutes off of each episode just by removing that.
Sometimes it seems like a character just literally goes into their pocket and pulls out a poem.
And, like, just gets lost. Like, the whole show stops happening for this speech.
Yeah, some of them are, like, 5 to 10 minutes long.
Like, literally, it's all, like, one shot, too, which is impressive.
And I don't even, it's just, like, it's so long. There's a really cool early scene.
Yeah, on the beach.
On a beach, where it's, like, one shot, and I don't think it ever cuts.
And we were like, this is a weird scene. What's going on? And Joe's like, oh, they never cut.
They haven't cut. And, like, the whole scene is, like, a solid 10 minutes long.
They're, like, walking down the whole beach, and then more people come in, and there's extras doing stuff the whole time. It's really sweet.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool scene. I absolutely loved the scene. It's the whole show.
Go watch it.
Absolutely great. Go watch Midnight Mass. Highly suggested by the nerds. Peace out, Tribe Scout.